Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wind Down Wednesday, episode 29. Tonight, we are going to talk about ease. And what do I mean by ease? So, to me, ease is being fully present in the body, in your energetic field, in your emotional field, and at ease or relaxed in the body. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what I feel like the difference between ease and relaxation is, because it's a little bit of a semantic difference, I think. But what I want to say first is that so many of us spend a lot of time out of ease, in dis-ease or unease in our bodies. And to me, dis-ease is that physical sort of disharmony in the body that many of us experience. And unease to me is more of the being out of ease in the emotional seat in our mind. When we're feeling anxious, we're in unease. So ease really affects our physical body, it affects our emotional state, and it affects our energetic field. And I think that many of us have spent so much time in our lives out of ease that we don't actually know what it feels like to be in ease anymore. And that was true for me for a lot of the time. I think we get so used to holding tension in our bodies specifically, or having certain pain in certain areas of our bodies, or being uncomfortable emotionally, that we forget what it's like to really be present and relaxed and grounded and in the flow of things. And that's the other thing I would say about ease. I think being in ease is being in flow. It's letting go of that illusion that we have control over what's going on and opening to that highest good. And that's kind of been our theme for the year so far. We set our intention for the highest good at the end of 2020. And I feel like every episode so far this year is sort of furthering that idea of being in flow, of being open to our highest good, of releasing our feeling that we know what that is, because I've talked about this before. I'm not going to go into much detail, but we're in a physical body with a physical mind, with all the limitations that come with that. So we're not omniscient. We don't have this broad spiritual view because we're in a physical body. But this higher power, the divine God, whatever word you want to use for it, has a grand vision for us if we're willing to step into service. And we all have individual ways to serve, and being in ease is what allows us to be in that flow of service. If we're out of ease and if we're in dis-ease or unease, it's hard for us to serve. So coming into ease allows us to open to that divine path, whatever it might be. And I said briefly when I started, I wanted to talk a little bit, just very briefly, about ease versus relaxation, because what's the difference? It sounds like maybe a semantic difference. But to me, relaxation doesn't necessarily lead to presence. So when you get super duper relaxed, sometimes you fall asleep, and there's no conscious presence in that. When you're asleep, you're not consciously present. You're not in your body. And being at ease, to me, a very important component of being at ease is being present, is being in flow. So I would actually say that ease is kind of relaxation in action, which I thought was I might make a little meme out of that. Ease is relaxation in action. And what does that mean? So that means, I can come and sit in this wonderful energy of my treatment meditation room and be in complete ease and relaxation, and then get in my car and drive into traffic and go, and not be in ease anymore. So ease is relaxation is in action. So when I come into this meditative state and I'm relaxed, and then I carry that into the rest of my life and I function in that way. I was getting ready for that women's summit, and that's a lot of where this word ease came from. And I'm going to talk more about oxytocin breathing tonight, which came out of that group for me. And everything they prepare for is about being at ease and being in flow. And the event that I was a part of, you could feel that. You could feel that ease and that flow throughout the event. And it made the whole thing feel very relaxed and very organic and authentic. And that's what I want us to go for in our everyday lives, is being at ease, being in flow, And yes, we're still going to have obstacles. We're still going to have bad days and things that come up. But when we're at ease, when we're in flow, we kind of move past those and they don't get stuck in our energetic field. We go like, oh, there was that. Okay. And sometimes we even get a feel for what the message is that's coming. Like I hurt my foot. I think I mentioned that a couple shows ago, right before Christmas. And I was like, oh, this is a clear message that I need to slow down and relax more because I was doing. And if I had been listening to my messages, maybe I wouldn't have hurt my foot and needed that kind of stronger message. Sometimes I say I need to get hit with a 2x4 to get my spiritual messages. And that's something that I'm still working on. So I want to talk a little bit about the science of this tonight. And I have mentioned these things in passing a lot of times when we start a meditation. I've briefly introduced this oxytocin breathing, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth on that tonight. And that way, when I mention it in the future, you'll have a little more understanding of where this comes from and why it's important. So I want to talk a little bit about the sympathetic versus the parasympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system is that fight, flight, or freeze mode. That's that mode that we're in when our adrenaline kicks up, when we start having, a heart racing, we get anxious, we feel like we're confronting something, whether for a lot of us in this society now, that's more of, it's not a physical confrontation. A lot of times it's not you're not facing a saber-toothed tiger and figuring out what to do. It's more emotional. We're in a constant state of stress. We're constantly in a hurry. We're being bombarded with information all the time and trying to figure out what information we want to take in and what we need, what we can let go of. So that's that sympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic is the ease. That's the ease part of the relaxation part of our nervous system. So when the parasympathetic takes over, we come into relaxation. The heart rate slows down. That's when we feel more present in the body. It's hard to feel present in your body when you're in that sympathetic mode, when you're feeling nervous or adrenalized or, kind of anxious. It's hard to be in the physical body. When you're at ease, when you're relaxed, when you're in that parasympathetic, then it's much easier to be present in your body. So there are a lot of ways to come back into ease. Body work and massage, meditation, intentional movement and exercise. And the word intentional there is important. So just blindly running on a treadmill, that's not going to bring you into ease. But things like yoga, where you're consciously breathing, or any kind of movement that has that intention of bringing ease to the body, can bring you back into ease. And then, of course, sound. And I'm going to talk more about sound in my upcoming chakra course, which starts February 18th. And you can check that out. That's also on the website, paulataylorenergy.com, under the events little tab. My mind just went totally blank at the top. So we're going to talk about the primordial chakra tones. And that has been a huge tool for me in coming into ease in my body. But one of the simplest ways to bring ourselves into ease, to bring ourselves out of the sympathetic and back into that parasympathetic response, is through breath. So I want to talk a little bit tonight about oxytocin breathing. So first of all, what is oxytocin? So some people call oxytocin the cuddle hormone or the love hormone. It regulates trust, empathy, and our positive memories and communication. And oxytocin goes up naturally when we're giving birth, when we're breastfeeding, when we achieve orgasm, and when we hug. But it also goes up when we practice this very specific type of oxytocin breathing that we're going to work on tonight. And this oxytocin breathing stimulates the vagus nerve. And I think I say that every week, and I kind of do this and then we move on. So I want to talk a little bit more about what I mean by that and why that's important tonight. So the vagus nerve covers much of the upper body, from the brain to the gut. That's when I go like this, I'm kind of showing you where the vagus nerve kind of controls what it regulates. And it regulates metabolism, heart rate, and well-being. And it supports that parasympathetic response. So the vagus nerve is one of the tools that we can use to bring us out of the sympathetic. It soothes that sympathetic response so that the parasympathetic can take over and bring us into that state of ease and of relaxation in action. All right, so that is actually everything I have that I wanted to go into in terms of why this is important. Why do we practice this breath? And I want us to practice this breath together. And I've introduced it again a few times at the beginning of the meditations, but I want to go into a little bit of how to do it and then add, there's an extra step you can use for grounding that I haven't introduced just because I haven't taken the time to do that. So that's partly where this whole idea of ease came from tonight, because I really wanted to go into this breath work a little bit more, and then we're going to use it throughout the meditation. And it's gotten very cold here. We actually had snow, and I'm a little parched, so give me just a second. It's getting very dry out. It's always dry in Tucson, but now it's cold and dry. So when we practice this oxytocin breath, it's a big belly breath. So when we practice this together, I want you to actually put your hands on your belly here. And when you breathe in, so this is not chest breathing. We're not breathing up into the chest. And you can, even when you hear that sound, you know, when you, let's say, like here, I'm walking my dog and I see a rattlesnake. That's the kind of breath I do. It doesn't go into my belly. It comes into my chest. My shoulders go up, and it instantly brings me into that sympathetic response. So we want to do the opposite here. We want to breathe all the way down into the belly. And you want to feel your hands come out. So you start with your hands on your belly, and you're going to take a nice deep breath in through your nose and feel that belly really expand. So we're really drawing that energy down, getting a big full breath, vibrating that nerve. And then as we breathe out, we're going to use that ha sound. Ha. And that sound is what actually vibrates the vagus nerve. Humming also vibrates the vagus nerve and can produce oxytocin. So that's kind of where this comes from. And the pitch of this ha is not important. It's going to be customized to your unique kind of pitch of your voice. But you want to start at that higher pitch and kind of let the pitch come down. So I want us to practice that a couple times together, and then I'm going to add the last step in before we go into the meditation. So you want your hands on your belly for this part, and take a nice deep breath into the belly, and then ha, sound it out. Ha. And let's do that 2 more times. And 1 more time. And you'll notice I have a smile on my face. My friend Sarah likes to remind us to smile while we're doing this breath. This is a pleasant, enjoyable breath. We're bringing pleasure into our bodies this way. So one of the ways we produce oxytocin is orgasm, is pleasure. So adding that little smile, when I go from that high pitch to the low pitch, I can actually feel the energy in my body move. It brings you down into a grounded state, and that's how we achieve that parasympathetic response. And then the last step to this, which is something that's totally new, I've never brought this up before. There's an extra step you can do at the end of this breath to really ground yourself, to kind of get that connection to the earth. And we begin pretty much every single meditation kind of coming from the head down to the feet, and then imagining that we're really connected to the earth through the feet or through the bottom, whatever's touching the ground. So this is a quick way of doing this that kind of bypasses all of that thought and all of that intention, and get you into that grounded state pretty quickly. And it's a great tool to use, like, let's say you're in traffic and you're getting stressed out, or even in the grocery store. Sarah always jokes about how she does this in the grocery store. And obviously it's a little bit more subdued. There's a reason we sigh and kind of make that sound sometimes when we're exasperated or we're stressed out. It's the body's natural way of bringing us back into ease. So you can use this breath and use this vocalization. Obviously, we're doing it in a big expanded way here tonight, and that's great. But you can also use this when you're in your office or when you're in your car. So the grounding noise that comes at the end of this breath, so you're going to breathe in and you're going to do your ha sound. And at the very bottom of your ha sound, you're going to let out a little oomph sound. And that pushes that energy kind of down into the earth and gets you grounded fully in the body. It's just an extra little step as we brought ourselves down and we're getting toward the low end of the body with that ha sound. You just kind of yourself out there. And we don't do this every time. This is we have a specific purpose. So this is great if you really are feeling anxious or you're feeling like you're out of your body and you need to come back in and you need to do it quickly. If you're feeling like you're too much in your head, you're sort of trapped in that mental space and you feel like you need to come back down into the body. So let's practice that one time. And it sounds a little bit weird, but it works. And again, your sound is going to be unique to you. So you're doing kind of that low pitched like oomph sound, but however that comes out of your body with that little it's a little push too. Your belly's going to kind of push out when you do that. Do whatever comes naturally to you there, and you'll find as you practice this that it becomes more comfortable. So let's practice that once together. And it might make you laugh or smile a little bit, and that's great. That's part of the pleasure as well, because it does seem a little bit silly, but it definitely works. So we're going to do some experimentation with that breath throughout our meditation tonight. I'll guide you into that, and I may specifically tell you to add the grounding, or I may leave it up to you. You can always add that grounding. That's completely up to you, but I'm only going to guide you into it maybe 5 or 6 times out of, we'll probably do 12 to 15 of these big oxy breaths. So the last thing I want to say is when you practice this breath, even if you're just in the car, try to do at least 3 in a row. So that first breath kind of just brings some awareness to like, I need to do this breath. The second breath starts to bring you really into that body more. And then the third breath is usually, it's kind of like you throw away the first pancake. So like by the third breath, you're really getting that deep belly breath going. You're really getting that energy to come down. And the third breath is a good time to add that little ground. And that's usually what we do when we practice this together in my women's group. But experiment around with this. See how this works for you. And my challenge to you, I'm actually going to give you some homework tonight, is to practice this breath throughout the rest of the week. And feel free to leave me comments or contact me. If you have questions, you can message me through Facebook, or you can reach me through my website on the contact form, which is at the bottom of each page. But practice this. See how it goes for you. Notice how your life changes, because it will if you keep practicing this breath. When we start to come into ease, everything flows more easily in our lives. And again, we're never going to get rid of the challenges of being human. It's part of being human. But when we're in grace, when we're in ease, those obstacles seem easier to overcome, or sometimes we just sidestep them. If you're really in flow, there might be a big boulder flowing at you. And, in the past, the controlling kind of ego part of us wants to be like, no, I can stop that. I've got this boulder. And the flow part of us is just like, whoo, like we're in the Matrix and it just like went by and then we keep moving forward. So that's the whole goal of stepping into ease. And this is such a simple way to do that. And I encourage you to do all the other things I listed. We do this meditation weekly, body work and massage is still a little tough, but energy work is the same thing. You can connect with someone who does energy work virtually. You can surround yourself, bathe yourself in sound that is inspiring, that is relaxing to you. There's all these self-care methods to come into ease when you have a lot of time, but you're breathing all day long. No matter where you are and what you're doing, you're breathing. So introducing this oxy breath, try to do at least 3 breaths, at least 3 times a day for the next week. And just notice if anything changes. Notice how you feel. Notice if you feel more present in your body. If your mind starts to slow down a little bit. If you feel a little bit more like you're in flow, and when those obstacles come at you, you're just under the limbo stick or dodging side to side, and you're recovering more quickly. You become more resilient. All of these things happen when we're at ease, when we're in flow, when we're living relaxation in action. Okay, so let us do our meditation. I'm going to take a sip. And I know I talked a lot tonight because I really wanted to get into this. And I will probably refer to this episode more in the future so that people who are new to the practice, when I say let's do an oxytocin breath, and I just give you that, breathe in through the belly and with a ha sound. Now, anyone who's seen this episode will know a little bit more about this and why we practice this the way we do. So come nice and comfortable as usual. Be easy with yourself. I say that every week, and there's a reason that I use that word ease or easy. Be easy with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Don't stress yourself out about whether you're doing this oxytocin breath correctly or not. You will get used to this, and you will start to be able to feel that energy kind of moving down and then grounding you into the earth. So come sitting up if possible with your feet on the floor. If you're lying down, that's okay. You might just fall asleep. And this grounding exercise, when we add that little grounding sound, I find that sitting with your feet on the ground gives you the best experience of that, gives you the most physical experience of that. So let's come fully present into this moment, releasing the past, everything that's happened up till this point, letting go of our thoughts of the future, and letting go now of the science or the nuance of this breath and just allowing it to happen as I guide you into it. So we're going to start with 3 of those deep oxytocin breaths, and I'm going to practice them with you tonight. And on the 3rd breath, let's add that grounding sound. You can place your hands on the belly. That helps remind you to breathe into the belly. And now just allow your breathing to relax for this next guided exercise. We'll come back to the oxytocin breathing. As we usually do, allow that top of your head, the crown chakra area, visualize that opening. Allow it to open to that divine flow of joy and bliss, of unconditional love. And invite that golden light of divine love and flow to come in through the top of your head. Let it come into your face, into your jaw. Let this energy of ease flow into your neck and your throat and your upper shoulders. Allow this light, this flow of ease to come into your upper arms, into your elbows and forearms, your wrists and hands. Allow this golden light, this easeful relaxation to flow into your chest and your upper back. Let it come down into your mid-back and your belly, your low back and your low belly. And with the attention here at the hips and the pelvis, we're going to take 3 more of those deep oxytocin breaths. And as you breathe in, I want you to let the belly come out, but draw that energy of ease in through your head, down into your pelvis. And as you vibrate that ha sound out, let's imagine that energy flowing down the legs and into the feet and the earth. We're going to do it 3 times, and then the third time again, we'll add the grounding oomph. And again, breathing deeply in, letting the belly come out, drawing that energy into the hips and pelvis, and then sighing that ha out down through the legs and the knees, into the ankles and feet. And then last time, Let your awareness, your intention for that grounding oomph, let that come out of the bottoms of your feet here. And let's do one more big oxy breath and ground that oomph right out of the feet and deep into the earth. And then allow your breathing to relax. Just breathe normally here. And notice any shifts in your body, in your mind, in your emotional state from when we started. Notice if you feel like you're coming out of that sympathetic response and into that ease, into that relaxation and action. And now I want you to notice any remaining areas of tension or discomfort in your body. And let's take one deep oxytocin breath, drawing the breath on the inhale into the area of your tension or discomfort. And then sighing that ha back out and down into the earth. You can add that grounding if you want to. That I'll leave that up to you. And you can do that another time or two if you like. You can move your focus to other areas of tension. Just letting yourself really be in ease here. And we're going to check in with our intuition to see if we can receive some messages about how to help our bodies and our minds and our energy come more fully into ease in our everyday lives. So let's take one more of those nice deep oxytocin breaths and ground at the end, and then we'll check in for some messages. Bring one hand to your belly here and one hand to your chest gently. And let's check in with our physical body, asking the body, what can we do to bring the body into ease? How can we serve ease in the physical body? And just ask that question and then wait quietly. If you don't get a response, that's okay. Sometimes it takes a while. You can always come back to this meditation and repeat this exercise. Give yourself a moment here to ask the physical body how you can help it come more into ease. And you may find just a general message here. It may be specific. It may be about something you need to do. It may just be about letting go in whatever form that takes. Taking just a last moment or two here to check in with the physical body. And then let's bring our attention, our awareness to the emotional body, our emotional state. And ask the same message here, the same question, ask for the same message. How can I serve my emotional state? How can I bring my emotions more fully into ease in my life? And see if you get a response here. You can take an oxytocin breath at any time in this process, just like I just did. If your body's asking you for that, if your emotions are telling you you're ready to release something, use that breath. And then finally, let's come into the spiritual body, into our energy, into the connection we have with that divine flow, that higher power. And ask that question one last time. How can I more fully serve my spirit? How can I bring myself into ease in my energy? And see if you get a response. And then let yourself absorb any further messages coming in from your intuition about ease, about relaxation and action. Using the messages that came from your body or your emotions or your spirit, set some affirmations for yourself to practice in the next week as you do your oxytocin breathing. I allow myself the gift of coming into ease. I easily flow with the changes that come up in my life. I recognize that I can access ease just by taking 3 deep breaths. And let's take 3 more of those deep oxytocin breaths here. You can direct your breath into an affirmation of your choice, to any remaining tension in the body, whatever calls to you here. And again, notice how things have shifted for you from the beginning of this meditation, from earlier in this evening. Notice if you feel more relaxed, if you feel calmer, if you feel at ease in the body. I allow ease. I step into ease. I am at ease. If you'd like, you can allow that crown chakra to gently close or leave it open for your highest good. Noticing the shifts in your body, in your emotional state. As you're ready, you can wiggle your toes or your fingers. You can rotate your wrists and hands a bit. Rotate your ankles. You can hear all my joints cracking. Move your head back and forth gently. Maybe lift your shoulders up and relax them down. Affirm with me, I am fully present in my body. I am fully present and at ease in my body. I live a joyful life of ease in my body. And as you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you so much for practicing with me tonight. Please bring this breath into your everyday life and notice how it shifts you into ease. Please join me next Tuesday as we talk about releasing dis-ease, releasing pain in the body, and as we practice that beautiful Kirtan call and meditation response that I have written to help bring us more fully into flow and into ease in our physical bodies. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you next week for Wind Down Wednesday.